I've just read 132 pages of The Sword of Kaigen, and these are my thoughts so far. Before we get into that, my name is Michael, and welcome to the library. I dropped my first video, my first two videos a few days ago, and to be honest, I've already failed in what I promised in that video. I dropped the videos because I want to start forming a reading habit, and as soon as I dropped the video, I got hit with like adulting. It's like the same thing I was talking about in the video. I've just done the biggest move of my life. I never knew I had so much stuff for myself and my fiance. We've accumulated so much stuff in the past 4 years of being in Ireland, and it's absolutely crazy. So I had to do that. I was moving for 10 days. So from Sunday till Sunday, I tried to read every evening as well. I was doing that, but then the week of the move, I was so super tired. It was like so intense. But anyway, I managed to make it to 132, and I did not forget my commitment. I'm back at it, and I plan to like progress more. Enough of the rambling. To be honest, the first 100 pages of the book, it's an attempt of the author to try and get you to understand the world. Basically, it's world building. It's like a whole lot of world building. We're introduced to a bunch of characters. We're introduced to a bunch of cultures. We're introduced to quite simple power systems, which I appreciate. Everything else is so going over my head, but it's easy to understand their powers. It's basically elemental magic. And oh yeah, that's what I need to make sure before we go forward. This will be spoiler filled. So if you do not want spoilers, then please thank you for sticking around to this point in the video. We are introduced to Kaigen, the Kaigenese Peninsula, which is like an isolated mountain. And it's filled up with powerful warriors, powerful warriors for the emperor, who are called the Kaigenese. And at the start of the book, I introduced you Mamuro, who is I believe he's 14, he's a teenager, and he's skipping all the way to school, and he's so happy, he's so eager, something like I can't relate with. Me of that age will never relate to that, but he's skipping so eager across this like 1,100 steps all the way up to the top of a mountain on a school that I believe is balancing on a tip, which is quite cool to think about, because there are these periods in the first 100 pages where they say something about school was tipping, tipping from left to right, which is quite interesting, very interesting setup for school. So far, we've met Mamuro, and we've also met his mother, Misaki, and we've also met his friends, we've met his teacher, and we've gotten a glimpse of his father and his brothers as well. So a whole lot of characters, like just a barrage of information in the first part. In fact, I was so scared it was just going to be exposition. To be honest, I want to keep reading for two reasons, and those are the two characters. I want to keep reading for Mamoru, and I want to keep reading for Misaki, his mother. Misaki is such an interesting character. Like, I just want to see like where she came from and why she's in the position she's in at the moment. That's why. So I just keep reading, because I am a fan of world building, but it seems quite a lot in, Sword of Kaigen. At least the first 100 pages is just that. So we have key cultures. You have the Kaigenese. This is something else I put here for the book. There are like so many groups of people: the Chicha Kalu, the Chaja Kalu, Yuricho, the Haidens, the Ranganese, the Amankalu. It's so much. But I think as you go further into the book, it is a big book. As you go further into the book, you kind of get used to all of that. But right now, I'm not used to it. We do know that the Kaigenese have abilities related to water and ice. And Mamoru's family is the best family at that, because they developed this ultimate technique called Whispering Blade. So that's why his family is the greatest warrior family on Kaigen. And then we know that the Lightning Soul family comes right after them. Mamuro is the young heir to the Matsuda clan. Misaki has a very mysterious past, and just where I am at the book, 132, we're seeing like a whole part of her that it wasn't, I won't say was hinted, but it really wasn't hinted. So but I don't want to spoil this though, because I'm not really delved deeply into it. But is she a crime fighter of some sort? Which is interesting. Something that shocked me about this book was it starts off in a very rural area, right? And then we get introduced to this boy called Kwang, who is from the city. And then they start talking about tech, these phones. I forget what they're called in the book, but their phones, basically. There's transport systems, there's planes, but you don't get that impression from the beginning of reading the book, which was like the core bulb, or like it made sense. Speaking of Kwon is, like I said, a kid from the city. He first transferred to Mamoru school. He basically busts Mamoru's bubble. Mamoru is like, he's so into the Kaigenese culture, and the thing about Kaigenese culture is they're so into honor, discipline, being being the best warrior, being good warriors to be used by the emperor, strength, all of that, and which are entirely good things. And then Kwon comes in. He basically tells them all of these values that you have gotten from the history that you've been told. It's basically, most of it is false or not completely true. And Mamoru can't believe what he's hearing. It's like, no, there's no way my teachers are lying to me. There's no way my parents are lying to me. There's no way the emperor is lying to me. And Kwang keeps showing him proof after proof. It takes some time before eventually, they say seeing is believing, right? I feel also say touching is believing. Mamoru sees, touches, feels, he interacts with like an entire humongous piece of evidence before he finally comes to terms with, this is crazy. I've been lying to my entire life. I'm building my whole personality, my whole being based on a lie. It basically shakes him up to his very being, because I forget what it's called, but they kind of like have an essence where their power is drawn from, and that kind of like shakes. It's quite interesting to see Mamoru go through that. So I want to see what that will develop in him. If it's going to like completely leave Kaigen or to head into the city, or if he's going to change, or if it's just going to basically ignore it, continue living in the matrix. We also introduced to many cultures around the knees, the Amankalu, so there's some factions that are not pure. They're mixed up with other people, and apparently there's been like this great war in the past between factions. It's been interesting. And I just want to keep reading for those two characters, Mamuro and Misaki. Can't wait to see what the rest of Sword of Kaigen holds. And now that I'm almost settled down, I'm going to keep posting. Thank you for all the love that you showed me in my first video. I appreciate that. I will be responding to comments because I haven't had the time to do so, but I will do that. And if you want to keep up reading habits, if you want to keep building, read more books and not many, this is a no pressure channel. If you want to follow along, you can read Sword of Kaigen with me, or you can read something else and let me know what you're reading in the description. But if you want to just build a sustainable reading habit, then please feel free to stick around, and I'll see you in the next video.